What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Road to Glory Career Mode. Today we're into episode 43 and we're going to be playing through the rest of the Confed Cup moving into next season and taking a look at everything to do with our home side crew, of course. Also, as promised, there will be a poll in today's episode to decide the future of the kind of, I guess, objectives that we set way back in episode 1. So that'll be at the end. I'll explain what the situation is and what I want to remove, and then you guys can make your vote. So, getting the episode underway then, we kick things off with the semi-final of the Confed Cup up against Spain. If you remember last episode, I said winning the group against Argentina, they finished second in our group, would help us in getting a better draw. Well, I was wrong, because in terms of this one, we actually pulled Spain in the semis, and Argentina, I think, had what I would consider to be a slightly easier draw. But I'm saying that the team that they got must have won their group to have that. So in that kind of term, they did pretty well. Was it Cameroon possibly that it was? I'm not 100% sure. But even so, this one was going to be a tough game up against Spain in this semis. Luckily, we are at Wembley for it, so do have the home style. So that is that other tie there. Argentina winning 2-1 against, I think it was Cameroon. So it will have to be an Argentina final for England if they can beat Spain here today. And having already beaten them once in the group stage, I fancy our chances as the sliders remain all the same as per usual. Not met Spain, though, in this one as of yet. So I'm intrigued to see how we'll play in this one. But the team's decent. We've got a strong lineup out. You can see the boys as they're going off down the line to shake the hands. That is the lineup we went with. Green, Walker, Stones, Dyer and Rose. Midfield 4 of Loftus-Cheek, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Harry Winks and Dele Alli. And a front 2 of Brereton and, of course, Harry Kane. Spain's lineup is there for you as well. I'm not really too worried about it. I think we've got a better lineup, but we'll have to play well indeed to be able to make it count. But it was Spain who got the game underway with the chances. Morata finding Koke, whose shot goes narrowly wide of that post, and it hit the post actually behind the goal. Genuinely, for a second, I was very worried. I thought that we'd gone a goal to nil down inside 2 minutes of play. But we grew into the game, and then inside the 30th, tested Spain's backline, which in the end it was a shot from Ali, saved by the Spain goalkeeper. It fell straight back to that man though in the middle as Brereton pounced on the goalkeeper's save to give us the lead inside the 31st minute. Brereton, of course, he plays for Crewe, he plays for us outside of international level at our club level, and he scored some goals as well. I think that's his third or maybe second goal of the campaign in the Confed Cup, so yeah, not too bad. And people would, I guess, question the surprise inclusion of him. I'll call it surprise, but at the end of the day, in terms of rating, yes, he's not one of the best that England have to offer, but certainly in terms of form, he's up there. So that is his second, so I was nearly there with a third. But yeah, it's his second of the Confed Cup, adding to an unbelievable first campaign he had in the Premier League for Crewe, of course, as they went on to win the competition. It got even better for England, though. We continued to dominate the play, and then we went into the 70th minute where he crossed it. Loftus-Cheek, all 6'3" of him, winning the initial header, and it came to the back post, where Dele Alli, honestly, didn't know that much about it, but it just seemed to hit him and go in the back of the net. Luckily, he was played onside by the fact the man was on the line. So, on another day, maybe, if he wasn't on the line, it wouldn't have counted, but luckily it was, and there you go. Dele Alli basically just chesting it in off the post to make it 2-0 to the England boys. And that time, I felt confident. Like, I was playing with the side that I felt we were going to do well with. And that's Dele Alli's third of the Confed Cup now. So, I think he's up there with the top scorers. I'm not quite sure who is our top scorer. It might be Sterling so far, but as he continued on again, 88 minutes, we're just kind of closing out the game here. Chamberlain, nice 1-2, Harry Kane gets there ahead of the defender. To me, I can't understand why you'd play advantage. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. Harry Kane never had an advantage. You just give the penalty outright, and that's exactly what it was, a penalty kick. You can say that it was a little bit harsh on Spain, but at the end of the day, you've got to watch it when you're making tackles in and around your own penalty area. Grimaldo honestly didn't know too much about it. Harry Kane, to be fair, went down fairly easily and was probably looking for the penalty. So I felt kind of harsh in that respect. But it was Harry Kane to step up and take it and score into the bottom corner. Rico rooted to the spot, didn't know where the Englishman was going to go. And that makes it 3-0 now as England head through to the Confed Cup final. It's not a major trophy, but it would still be nice to make something happen at international level with England. So, yeah, very, very happy to get through to it. We're going to meet a very tough Argentina side, I feel like. Although we smashed them in the group stage 5-1, when you're playing in the final, it's a different case entirely. As the game finished, the referee brought it to a close. The boys played really, really well, to be fair, and I felt confident heading into that final. As I said, though, a 5-1 win in the group stage over Argentina really doesn't set the tone for how it's probably going to go in that final. It's going to be a more tough time, and I think we're going to have to dig deep possibly and maybe not have as much possession and much dominance as we did in that group stage, but we'll see anyways as it is to come in the episode. Ali having a good performance. Unfortunately for Spain, a few of their players didn't really step up, and I feel like they needed to kind of work harder in keeping us off the ball. I felt my formation as well seemed to work pretty well against the 4-5-1 of Spain. We were quite narrow in what we played as a 4-1-2-1-2, and it was the narrow version with the two centre midfielders rather than the wingers, and it seemed to work. So yeah, I might have to look into maybe playing that at crew level as well. I don't know in terms of what we're going to do for crew this upcoming season. In my mind, I was just going to go with a 4-4-2 like we did last season, but to be honest, I feel like we need to switch it up a little bit because teams are going to kind of get used to that 4-4-2 that we played and maybe surprisingly won the league with. So I feel like we probably will have to switch it up. But there is the results for you. It is an Argentina-England final, and we are about to have a really tough test. But as we got into the new season, that's the budget for the new season. 24 million quid with 100 grand in the wage to use as well. Not too shabby, if I must say so. Also, we've had our pre-contract players join us here at crew, so I'm going to take you through those guys later on as we look at the squad hub now to see what some of our players are currently worth. Remember, one of the objectives with crew was to sell a player for 60+ million before the end of the series, and also buy a player for 50+ million. So yeah, in terms of our financial right now, the only player that will get close to that 50 or 60 million pound player would be Jay Green. You can see he's 40.5 million. Brereton coming in at not too bad, 25 million in this himself. Geyer as well, 23. We've got Grujic now at the club at 23. Reece Nelson worth a hefty 17.5. And as I'm going down the list, you can see who is worth what at the club. So the closest in terms of selling a player for 60 million is Jay Green. And to be fair, I don't really rate him that much. He's a high-rated keeper, but I feel like for a club level, he's let us down a few times. So I wouldn't be like too against letting him potentially go if the right offer comes in maybe. So we'll have to see if I'm going to actually do that. But, of course, do stay around before casting your vote on the poll because I want to get your guys' input on it. And it would literally be just one of the objectives that I'll get rid of. Meaning, of course, then we will get rid of some of the England ones because I won't need it. But I'll go into more detail later on. So if you do want to kind of understand my explanations, stick around to the end of the video before you cast your vote. But moving into the final of the Confed Cup now then, guys. And as you can see, it is Argentina who will take on England for that trophy on your screen. Not the biggest one at international level, of course. The World Cup coming in at number 1. Probably the European Championships in at number 2 as well. So those are the two that we're really looking to win with England for now. So not too worried about it if we don't win this Confed Cup. It was just to kind of get ourselves into the England setup, get used to the boys that are playing because, you know, this is the first time I really played with the England setup and the players that I had. I've got to say, though, some of the players that I called up for this tournament certainly won't be getting called up for the next one. There's a few players that I don't think I will be using next time around. I think I've got to kind of relook at the squad and maybe call up a few different players that aren't, you know, the players that I used here. There are a few players who really excel, but there are a few that kind of let me down. As we got into the final, Argentina started off stronger. Rigoni here, finding a pass out wide to Correa, who cuts inside his man on that left foot, looks for the top corner, and he's narrowly wide. Like Spain, they had a chance early on, but I grew into the game again. 26 minutes in, Sterling finding a nice pass to Shaw, back to Sterling, and this is honestly just so nicely worked. Across the face of goal to an unmarked Harry Kane, who opens up the scoring in this final. Honestly, he could not miss. If he'd have missed that, it'd have been getting substituted. I went with a different setup for this final. I went with Rashford and Kane up front in place of Ben Brereton. Not for any other reason than I needed to get some fresh legs. Also, a midfield 4 that was a little bit changed from what we saw previously. But in terms of what I went with, it was a decent team still. It was a team that we should be able to dominate with, and it was a team that we should be able to win with. So I wasn't too kind of worried when I named it, and I felt pretty confident. Harry Kane, though, opens up the scoring. It's 1-0 to England, 28 minutes in. It's a chance either side for either team, and we took our first one that we had. But then, something really strange happened. Like, I'm not going to lie, defensively, Argentina, it's not their strong point. We know that, right? But Dele Alli picks up the ball in his own half, runs all the length of the pitch, and then scores to make it 2-0. And I know what YouTube comments are like, so I decided to show you the sliders just to, you know, keep it going. And yeah, I have full, you know, confidence that no one will put a comment saying, you know, I touched the sliders or whatever. But just for anybody that does want to put that, there you go. So you can forget about putting your comment because that was a slider shown to you. But yeah, genuinely really surprised because within the space of 8 minutes, Argentina had crumbled. They conceded a second. Dele Alli scores yet again in the competition. And it was from his own half that he ran past about 5 players. I know he's fast, but I couldn't understand the defending from Argentina. I really couldn't. So to go 2-0 up, it's his 4th for this campaign for Ali, but to go 2-0 up inside 33 minutes was kind of easy. And that's not me being kind of big-headed or anything, but genuinely, I thought to myself, this is easy. Like, I was surprised. And then when we continued on to the second half, I just kind of looked to just close the game out. And Brereton came off the bench for Harry Kane. Sterling here, lovely little 1-2 with Marcus Rashford, gets it back from him. He scores again to make it 3-0 to us here. And at that point, it was job done. I was fully confident would hold on to win the Confed Cup. No part of me felt like I was going to crumble. I have seen comebacks from 3-0. If you remember, in the normal season when we played against Manchester United for Crewe, we were 3-0 down. We ended up coming back to draw it 3-3. But I just honestly felt so confident. It's his 4th of this one as well for Raheem Sterling. A couple of players now on 4 goals for the Confed Cup, which is very nice to see indeed. But that ended off the game, and that was England winning their first international competition with us in charge. What I'm going to do is, though, guys, for the next time, when we come up to the World Cup next time around, I'm going to let you guys pick it with me. I'm going to let you guys have the vote and see who you would like for us to pick as our starting England 11 for the next competition. That should be quite cool, I think. So I'm gonna make live stream like us choosing the team, and then we can like kind of go through it together, pick it, and then we'll see if we can win it. But for this time around, it was all about me just getting my feet into it and seeing how the boys perform. And I tell you what, they did not let us down. A win for England here in the Confed Cup, and the strangest hoisting of the cup I have ever seen from Harry Winks, who I don't know why he was our captain. I don't understand why I had Harry Winks as our captain, but hey ho, it is what it is. And you can see he's not even lifting it. Like, we were celebrating, and he didn't actually lift the trophy. I don't know if it was a bug or whatever, but hey, that's the weirdest celebration of a trophy I've ever seen in my life. But there was a few standout performers, to name a few. Raheem Sterling played really, really well. Dele Alli, of course, we know he's good, and he had a great competition. A few of the maybe underperformers, I feel like Harry Kane didn't really live up to that 90 rated hype that he's got. But maybe that was just me not used to playing with him. I'm used to playing with very, very pacey strikers, and Harry Kane, of course, doesn't fit that. You know, in terms of our kind of backline, I didn't really have a standout defender. Our keeper, of course, I switched it up from Butland to Green, and Green didn't really do too much wrong, but he didn't do too much, he didn't really have too much to do either. So I feel like for next competition, there's going to be a few players who will miss out in the team, and maybe that's going to have to be the case. But in terms of match facts, we played very well, we dominated, and Raheem Sterling playing at a 10 match rating as well. Good competition for him, as I said. Very happy with the way he played. And for now, that ends off our international little excursion. We're going to get back to Crewe, and we're going to make a few signings happen. So we got into the pre-season tour, which, as you know, I don't play it. We sim it. I decided to just go with our strongest 11 and see what was going to happen. Of course, I say strongest 11. We've got a few players to add to this, of course. Grujic on the bench. There's a few players on pre-contracts that would be added in. But we won the first game. We ended up getting through the group as well. We win the other 2 games that I sim. We had Porto, Benfica, and Hamburg in our group. I played for the most money possible, so that way we'd have enough money to be able to work with in the budget. Now, depending on the vote and depending on what wins in terms of if we keep the rule or not, then of course that's going to implicate the signings. I know I've seen Donis on there before. Seems to be a recurring player that you guys want. I've seen a few players as well. We have a little bit of money to work with this time around, so we are going to make a few signings. And I got an offer for Luciano Acosta from Wolverhampton Wanderers. I decided, though, I was going to let the Argentinian go. They offered 6.5 million. I decided to counter that and say if you give us 7.5, to which they said, no, they were only willing to give us 6.5. So I was like, hey, you know what? I only wanted an extra million. Take him. Because this season, we've got Grujic added to it. We've got Pritchard added to it. And we're going to have, of course, El Ghazi that can play there. So chances are I'm probably not going to need Luciano Acosta. So I decided to let him go for 6.5 million. He's been a good servant. I've enjoyed him as well. He's been a very good player for the club. But I feel like now is the time to probably let him go. Second game, as I said, we did go on to win this one as well. Brereton back from his international play. He's firing on all cylinders as well. I think he scored in the first game and the second one. And we ended up playing Augsburg in the semis, which again, I simmed, because as you know, we don't play it. Same side that played for the other ones. El Ghazi and Grujic were on the bench, actually. So it'd be interesting to see if they could come on off the bench to make an appearance. But moving into it, I wasn't bothered, to be fair. Yes, it's nice to have the extra money, but I just don't care about the preseason tour. And we ended up scoring early on, Nelson getting it. We ended up winning this one and going through to the finals as well, where I think we might have played FC Porto again. So I think we ended up going on to lose it, even though we had beaten them in the group stage. We ended up losing to them in the final, which was weird, to say the least. But yeah, it is what it is. We missed out on like 2 million, if that, so it's not that much money in the grand scheme of things, but it would have been nice to win the entire thing, but there you go. So, moving on, as I said, we have a nice budget. It sits currently around about £30 million, with around about 100k in the budget, but I do make 3 signings, which you're about to see happen now. 3 free agents who are all around about the same rating. The first one was Miguel Barco Villar. He's a Spanish cam, 18 years of age, 76 rated already on 16 grand a week at the club. So he joins up. I then went ahead and made a goalkeeper signing because, again, another free agent. This one, 21 years of age, 75 rated, I think it is, of Jakub Olenare. He's not of English descent. He's an African player. I think he was actually Nigerian. So yeah, nice to get another player into the club of a decent rating, very young as well. And we had one more that I was looking at, and it was this man, Marco Delgado, from Argentina at CDM. Again, he's 74 rated, 21 years of age. Probably not going to play that much for us, but in terms of what it was for a free signing, he's worth about 4 or 5 million quid. So even if we don't play him, we can sell him and get a little bit of money back. So the best one for me, though, was definitely that cam from Spain. 18 years old, 76 rated. So as I went through to show you their attributes and stuff, to show you the new players at the club, that's the first one, Olenare from Nigeria. Then we moved downwards into, I think it was the Spanish cam. There he is. Very, very fast and pacey, but unfortunately, he's only got a 2-star weak foot. And as you know, I like my cams to have a little bit better weak foot. I like at least a 4. It would be a nice 4-star in terms of his weak foot and skill moves, but it is what it is. I'm sure with a bit of training, he'll become an absolute beast, and we'll be able to sell him on. He has got the 4-star skill moves, just not the 4-star weak foot. It's only a 2. We had El Ghazi, of course. We know about El Ghazi from our time in the last FIFA. Our squad looks really, really good, actually, to be fair. And then, of course, Delgado was another one. He's decent. He's not the tallest, but he's got nice stamina, nice strength, nice acceleration and sprint speed. And for a CDM, he should do a really good job. Again, though, only that 2-star weak foot, which is weak. But moving on then, I'm going to explain the ruling. So that was the objectives that we set ourselves previously at the start of the series. The only one that I'm going to be changing would be the maximum of 5 non-English players at any one time within the squad. Because, of course, right now, it's set 7. We changed it to 7. I'm wondering, guys, do you want me to scrap that entirely? Forget about it and we can sign any players, or do you want me to keep it at 7 maximum non-English players in the side? So you can vote on the poll at the top right-hand side of the video here. It should be a little I button. And make sure you do vote, because I want to get as many people voting and making the decision as possible. So yeah, basically, all it is scrap that rule or keep it. Maximum of 7 non-English players, or be able to sign anybody that we want at any time. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Career Mode. If you did enjoy it, a like would be greatly appreciated. As always, thank you for all of your support on the channel. I really do appreciate that as well. You guys are all incredible for everything you do. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you want to follow me on any of my socials, the links are in the description below, so you can take a look at those if you are interested. But do vote, guys, and I will see you all again for another episode of this series very, very soon. Make sure you give me some suggestions for players as well, because I'm always excited to see that. I'll catch you all again very soon, guys. Adios.